Welcome, guys, to my Love is Blind, Netflix's Love is Blind, Season 6 recap, episodes 4, 5, and 6. We're in I know, we're behind. You guys probably all watched 7, 8, 9. We'll get there.
Tomorrow.
But joining me on my channel is Chantel Francis to chit-chat these 3 sets of episodes while we catch up. I'm excited to talk about these episodes because I think the most things happened so far in these episodes. How are you today, Chantel?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm happy to be recapping this season. I haven't really done Love is Blind before. We did episodes 1, 2, and 3 on my channel yesterday, and it seems to be a good season. So I'm happy that we're like going to be diving deep into this cast and these relationships, because there's a lot of narratives that are being drawn out from these dynamics, and it looks like episodes 7, 8, and 9 are even juicier. So I can't wait to just get through it. It's been a pretty fun experience so far.
Yeah, I agree. So like I said, I had taken a break season 3. Then everybody was talking about season 4. So I went back and watched it like for the live reunion, which went to crap. And then I watched live, but last season was a disappointment. I will say this is a mess, but it's a mess I'm enjoying.
That's what I'm enjoying. It's just so interesting. It's fascinating. We all love a love story. Well, most of us love a love story. I watch for a love story, and if I'm not going to get a love story, at least I want very interesting psychological drama that's happening.
Exactly. There was a TikTok the other day that Rachel Lindsay shared, and it said that the smartest person you know loves and watches reality TV shows. And then it was a stitch. So someone else came in and said, I agree. And because it's just like the sociological aspect of it, the life skills, the life experiences, the observation, and all things like I loved studying in college. Just we get the gamut on reality TV. And I do think Love is Blind, just the way that it ends up working out, we do see those larger microcosms of things that can happen in relationships.
100%.
And no season has been the same, and I do enjoy that. So
I definitely I'm happy that no season has been the same. I was getting worried because last season, and I think the season before, I feel like people realize how much success that they would obtain from going on this show with like having 1 million subscribers and followers and brand deals and podcasts. And so I felt like the authenticity kind of fell away. But it seems like even though there is still a little bit of an element of that this season, I feel like the relationships are on the forefront. I don't feel like they're doing everything just for fame. And so it allows me to be taken on the journey. And I'm not just like, oh, this person just wants to be on TV. This person's being a jerk because like, he wants to be the villain. I'm not really having that as much as I've had it in the past couple seasons. So I'm happy that it subsided a little bit and it's allowing me just to see these characters or these people interact.
I agree. I definitely agree with you. The last 2 seasons that, I mean, I think it might also be the where they filmed too. I think a lot of those cities that they chose are a little more conducive to people wanting to break into the business. And so here we're at North Carolina. You might get a lot of subscribers, but I don't think you're trying to break into Hollywood. But I do think they also might have, because we see Clay keeps mentioning he's never seen the show, and that he didn't know what it fully was about. But then we had the Matthew of it all, who you could tell he came in there with a plan and tried to execute it.
Yeah, he flopped there majorly. Do you think that he's going to show up in the next few episodes? Because I know some of the previous relationships are showing up.
Right. So I would be shocked if he doesn't, but I also would not be shocked if he does. I don't know. We'll see. Joining us is Rachel Marie. Hi, Rachel. She's not. She says it's not much love in her opinion, but at least interesting drama. And her city is embarrassing her. Oh, I'm so sorry for that. But you listen, they're going to talk about this season for years to come, I think, because we're getting a lot here.
We're getting a lot.
Lady Lyric is here and says, "Hey, everybody, say hey, Larry Lyric." So the first set of episodes really kind of leave us on a cliffhanger of sorts. We don't even see Amy and Johnny really episode 4 because they have got engaged. They move on to wait for honeymoons. The way this show stages it, really all the couples get engaged on one day technically, but the way they show it in here, they show it in an arc. So we do see the rest of the connections and the couples. Again, we had a lot of like interwoven triangle, rectangles, squares, whatever we want to call it, the last few episodes prior to face to face and honeymoons. And so we do. I did make a note of this one. Mackenzie is in the pods in episode 4 talking about just like things that normally would turn somebody off. So like picking your nose, is that a bad habit you do? So she did mention that whoever she was talking to said that they pee in the pool and pee in the shower. And she said she agrees. She pees in the pool and pees in the shower. And AD turns around and is like, girl.
But then she's like, you can do whatever you want just as long as you don't pee when I'm in the pool with you.
Exactly. She's like, pee on your bed, but not in the pool of it. And I have to agree. I don't understand like intentionally peeing.
Okay, I'm not a pool peer, but I have peed in a pool once. Because I was like, we were kind of joking. We were just like, we're gonna pee, and like we peed in the pool.
Yeah.
We were just a little tipsy, and whatever happens. So that happened once. You're like, I'm not a pee in the shower type person.
Okay.
I mean, it's happened before, but it's not something that like I'll avoid doing that for sure. I'll definitely go either before or after.
Right.
But I thought it was a funny conversation because she's so like, I do it. I think it's fine. It saves water. We don't have to flush. Like,
how does it say one? But I agree. Like, I'm probably more of a pee in the shower than a pee in the pool. But just privacy.
What about the ocean? I definitely have peed in.
I don't swim in the ocean. I don't like the ocean. I don't like salt water. I don't like being in the ocean. I hate sand. So
nobody really likes sand, right?
Yeah, I'm not a big ocean swimmer. So you won't necessarily find me like just standing in the water in the ocean, like at all. No.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I thought it was a cute conversation. And so we're going to talk through, if you haven't seen Chantel's side of the discussion, go back and watch what we talked about episodes 1, 2, and 3. But we are going to chit chat about this by couple. So we're going to talk through the couples and talk through their experience. Episode 6 might be a little bit different, only because of the conversations, but just so you know, that is how we will be chatting about this. So let's chit chat. So like I said, Amy and Johnny did not show up in this episode, so we won't really be talking about them. But let's talk about Kenny and Brittany. So they do prepare to meet. They got engaged at the end of the prior episode 3, and they prepared to meet, and they are really believing they were literally put in these pods for each other. um, that God put them in this space to meet each other. And I do like that Brittany acknowledges she knows that Kenny identifies as a Black, but it doesn't matter to her. Um, and Kenny admits this is going to be a new thing for him because he's never
Mhm.
dated outside of his relationship before. So it is a bit scary. Brittany is ready to be a wife. And the doors open and Brittany runs to him and he says she looks good. What did you think about their first meeting?
Well, it seems like they were surprised by each other, but still happy. It didn't seem like they were turned off by each other to me. She talks about like, oh, I didn't know your hair was long, and she's like, oh, I thought your hair was gonna be blonde, and like, so
Mhm.
like they didn't look like they thought they would look like. But it seems like they were still pleased with the other person, and it
I
looks
agree.
like they're like kind of like. Phew, like I was gonna stick with you no matter what, but like I'm happy that like I can handle
You look how you look so that I can.
just like
And
whew.
I can get it because for them, they don't plan to be physical, right? And so you want to be able to build that attraction with someone, even though you're not physical with them. No matter how much you think your guys are meant to be together, right? So once you get to that point where you can be physical, it's already been a build up that you like really like or how this person looks
Yes,
physically,
exactly.
right?
So I
Um,
think that they were kind of like, okay, I liked your voice, and like, oh, I like this person now that I'm seeing in front of me with the voice, and so you can kind of see them like connecting the voice with the face, and
mhm.
like it's interesting to watch them like recalibrating their vision of this person because they had like kind of like an idea of what they thought they would look like, and now it's completely different, and but they recognize the voice, and putting it all together is quite fascinating to watch.
Yeah, it is. And I thought they looked so good together. Like they the black that they were wearing, like absolutely match. I'm like, who did that? Oh, because we even see it in the other couples when they meet. Like so, like their blue is either offsetting, but it perfectly offset or like perfectly matched. And I did like that their blacks were just black matching.
Mhm.
And I do see a little more chemistry. I think person to person than I was seeing in the pods um even though they weren't like very physical with each other at all, right? And so he does get down on one knee and proposes again and confirms that it's her for him, and she agrees that she is his wife for real, and they're happy with how each other looks. So it was a lovely meeting to me.
Mhm.
It was probably the least physical meeting, but it also was a good confirmation for her and him, I think, because they both said that they are honored to be each other's fiance, and he says he will choose her each and every day, which I thought was beautiful words. Beautiful words.
Absolutely, and so it's nice to see that it looks like we got one that's gonna maybe make it to the altar.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, let's see how this goes
Yep.
because they seem to share the same values, which is very important. The fact that they're not going to be physical with each other, I think, is also really great for them to have longevity because they're not going to be necessarily clouded by sexual chemistry, and you're going to really see if there's compatibility. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this couple develops.
Yeah. So we do see in the next episode, and I'm only saying that really going into this next episode with them is because we barely saw them the next episode again. So it's like they're getting ready for bed, and they said they're excited to be with each other. And they talk about how Kenny is brushing his teeth, and he says though that he wants to start a ritual before bed where they unpack their day, what and when and what where like they don't like that happened in their day, talk to each other, what went well, what didn't, and then tell each other how they feel about each other. And what did you think about this ritual? Is this something that you would do?
It's something similar. I don't know if I would bring in. I think it's kind of like a lot of shows. They call it. What do they call it? if I remember the name of whatever. Like, I feel like some of it's more of like a dinner table conversation, but
Mhm.
I think that maybe bringing in the "how do I feel about you" conversation is better for night. I kind of come from the mindset like what you think about right before you go to sleep is what you're going to dream about and what you're going to actualize in your life. So I wouldn't want to necessarily bring like what negative things happen during their day right before you go to sleep. Like, what if
I
it stirs up an argument? What if like I just don't know if it's the best time for that because you're really able to absorb, any emotions and feelings and thoughts and beliefs right before you go to bed. So I would save maybe that kind of, conversation for at dinner, like a
Mhm.
dinner conversation starter. But before you go to bed, maybe talk about the gratitude that you have for the relationship and what are
I
you thankful for in the other person, and maybe using that as part of like a ritual. Because I think then you're going to sleep thinking about all the ways that this person makes you
Make you
happy,
feel
makes you
good.
smile,
Yeah.
the love, like how he worships and honors you, like all these really, really good things. And you're going to go to sleep with those. And then you're going to see more of those things in your next days. So, yeah, I would do something similar, but I'd kind of maybe, restructure it a little bit.
I agree. That was what was a little off-putting for me, and I get that they're trying to build an emotional connection, build a relationship, but I do feel like talk about all the things that went bad in your day, work, kids, whatever,
Earlier on.
earlier in the day, dinner, when you come home, get it out, whatever, and then let it go. Go to bed. I'm so glad that you listened to me today. I have so much love and admiration for you, like how you got through your day, how you protected me. Talk about those
All the good
things
things for sure.
before bed.
100% agree.
Yeah.
It's like you
Uh,
don't want to really be thinking about the negative things and have those be going on in your head when you're going to sleep because
yeah.
it just reaffirms them in your waking life.
And then you wake up and you're still angry.
Or you might dream about it and like you're gonna be processing that stuff in your dreams. And like, do you really want to process that? No.
No.
Process that earlier on the day, and then in your dreams, process how much you love this person and how many good things that you find about them and your relationship. So
Yeah.
good idea. Just needs to have maybe it's because he's so young. He doesn't realize that like maybe you should talk about some good things before you go to bed.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I mean, he's only 25, and maybe he heard that somewhere, saw that somewhere, and thought that, that would be like a good conversation. But I would tweak it. I agree. Tweak it. So we do see Jeremy and Laura and Sarah Ann's journey, and we really are. I told you, like, the first set of episodes, I feel like they were really like introduced and then they trailed off, and now it feels like they picked back up in these second three sets of episodes, and they still are really not giving us that much about them, because even when he kind of, we know that Laura's been like, it's Jeremy for her and that's it, but he's been between Sarah and Laura, and even when he comes down to the decision, he really can't even express why he's coming down to the decision. Not that I hate that, but I kind of wish we understood why he got there.
Yeah, I mean, because he's kind of like a little bit of a jokester,
Yeah.
and he didn't really, for me, he didn't really show what he liked about each of them or what he didn't like about each of them. And
Right.
so I think maybe though the conversation about like the social media stuff kind of was a little bit off-putting. Um the fact that she seems to be a little bit more like she talked about Botox and fillers and her eyes drooping and like yeah like it's not really that serious, not big of a deal, but that might not be a conversation that he's familiar with really having, and he doesn't know if that's the type of conversations he wants to be having with his partner maybe.
Right.
Not that I care about people what they put in their face or whatever, but like maybe that just turned him off of her just as being so like maybe he wants somebody more natural that doesn't use any enhancements of any sort. I'm not sure. I don't feel that they made it very clear as to why he was choosing Laura over Sarah, but from what they showed us in the show, those are maybe reasons why.
Yeah, and possibly he's a lot less conservative than her, because he doesn't seem to be as conservative, like, at all. Right? Like, he rides a motorcycle. Like I don't know if he's necessarily a conservative type of man. So we do see like their first set of conversations. Jeremy's talking to her. They're talking about dreams, and they do talk a lot about sex.
That could have also maybe turned him off as well. Not that men don't love sex, whatever, but he does say that he's looking for an emotional connection, and he
Right.
like really loves having sex with somebody who he has that connection with, and it takes it to the next level. And it seems that yes, she did agree, but that she wasn't looking for that kind of connection, and so maybe she wasn't going to be deep enough for him from what he was kind of picking up as her from her response.
And he does say this later on when he makes his choice, like, I feel like our banter, like we never settled, like it sounded like. And I think that might be part of it. It's because they're just always playing and playful
Surface.
banter. But it's just too surface. And so
surface and sexual tension, it means that like, yes, like maybe they would date for a year and
right.
like they'd have a really good
But it
time.
would fizzle.
But exactly.
Yeah. So we do have
the thing I was trying to remember was peak or pit. A lot of people when they go to like you know, say they're in a group or a family trip or whatever, like, okay, what's your peak and pit? So your peak of your vacation and your pit or of your vacation. And so like the good, the really the best thing and the worst thing that happened. And so a lot of people take that into like their dinner conversations, or if they have a family reunion or family outing or something like that. Like what was their best time, like best moment? What was your least favorite moment? That type of thing. So peak or pit. And secondly, I also think that Jeremy reminds me of what's his name from This Is Us.
Really?
I do. What's his name? I need to show a picture. This Is Us. That's the one that was related, that was married to what's her name, right? Trishelle, not Trishelle.
Yeah.
Trishelle, right? Yeah.
Chrishell.
Yeah.
From Selling Sunset, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he doesn't look like it to me. So we do have Danita here. Hi, Danita. Danita says, hey, Mika and Chantel. Hope your Thursday has been amazing. And Danita does point out she agrees a little bit more of the Sarah Ann Jeremy triangle to fully understand choice would have. I just not sure. Maybe it wasn't fully expressed in video somehow, but
I think it was just not deep enough for him for what he was hoping for.
Yeah. Danita kind of agrees, like without the glasses, he looks like an off-brand.
I wonder if he told that to Sarah Ann. And she'd be like, okay, I need to find a picture. I'm gonna see if I can do a side by side.
That is so funny.
Love
the other point that she brought up is that does crazy scare you? I like if somebody makes that statement, wouldn't it?
And you'd be like, yeah.
But she says that she's just afraid to be judged. She wants to be loved for who she is and just have fun with him. And he says he has a sexual connection with her. And then she
Sarah with Laura.
This is all with Sarah.
See?
And then she goes back and tells all the ladies that she's marrying. I'm just like, did you hear the same thing I just heard, Sarah? Like, that is not.
Well, I think though we talk about it all the time. Sexuality isn't a personality, and I think that she's probably been able to, with her looks, be able to kind of get any guy with this type of playful banter, and she's also very beautiful and like fun to hang out with. And when you don't have the looks element to be like to bring them in, then maybe the banter, it's just not enough for them to want to go to that next step. If he saw her in person, I wouldn't be surprised if he would likely choose her over Laura. But I think that without seeing what she looks like, I think that he had more of an emotional connection to Laura. So, yeah.
Yeah. And
Wasn't
I mean, it still helps that Laura's gorgeous, but
no, I'm not saying that Laura
yeah,
isn't
yeah,
gorgeous,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I
But
feel
if they were in person, he probably would have stepped forward for, like, if it was a Love Island, he would have stepped forward for Sarah Ann and then kept it moving. Yeah.
if you
I
had to choose between the two at that moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So Laura is talking to AD and says that she wants Jeremy. But she's scared that she's the number two. Um, and she goes to the room and she starts crying when she's meeting with him, and she just kind of opens up to him and she says like he meets all of her qualifications, which is crazy and scary to her because she's very picky, which
Mhm.
I could tell. um and but she believes that they have the same values and that she can look over the little things with him, and she's like he's it for her, and she knows that he's seeing other people, so she doesn't want to put it all on him, but she does say that um she's letting him know so that he has that information. And he takes it and he just like looks inward and he said, I have to say, when I went to bed last night, I just realized I just wanted to see you and that I am falling in love with you.
Ooh. She has to make a pros and cons list,
Yes.
and she's like, the pro list is just so long with you. And, and she should have just said, like, there's only pros, but, like, she didn't say there was some
This was
cons, and I think he retaliated by saying, like, "I don't see any cons with you at all. I think you're
Yeah.
perfect." So
But he does say this, it's hard to explain and put into words, but he knows that they both understand each other. And that's that emotional connection they have built. They're not only talking physical, they have been connecting on personal emotions that they have for each other, for life, for values, right? So at that point, that is where they are at.
yeah, I definitely feel as though he is connecting more to Laura than to Sarah Ann
Yeah.
in terms of this experiment.
Yeah. So we do see next he does meet with Sarah Ann, and he says right off the bat, "Hey, so I decided Laura's my person." I mean, and she says, "Oh, wow. Is there a reason?" And he again says he can't pinpoint it, but he just has to move forward with Laura. And she says, "Wow, she wasn't expecting this."
Well, and her reaction though shows me that they weren't at that level,
Yeah,
right? Like,
no.
she's just kind of like, "Well, what happened? Like, why? Like, why are you not picking me?"
Yeah.
And she's not devastated. She's not like, "What do you mean?" Like, she wasn't emotionally where you would need to be, I would think, to
Yeah.
actually get engaged.
Yeah, like he even is more emotional about it. Like, I hate to be doing this because I do care for you, but like I don't even think I would ever do this again because the amount of emotions that it's brought me, um, both good and bad.
Mhm.
And she's like, "Oh no, I would do this again in a heartbeat."
And you're just like, "So this hasn't really affected you and made you sad at all. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay."
And so he says like he cares for her, but he can't move forward and he doesn't have an excuse because he does try to pull some, and he's just like, I'm making things that things of there that I shouldn't even be doing. And so she says she feels foolish because he was telling her that he was only telling her personal things.
Mhm.
She's like, "I thought you were telling only me personal things." He's like, "I was." And she's confused because how could that be? And so she's like, "Okay, well, that's it." She leaves and she goes to
She
the
was
room.
not that upset.
No,
She
she
was more annoyed.
wasn't. She wasn't. So I kind of wonder, were you here for TikTok fame? Were you just here that you got a story? Were you here that it's okay because
I think she's also not very used to not getting the guy.
that's
And I think like she probably feels as though aesthetically she's more attractive than Laura. Just like Laura is beautiful, but like I feel like she thinks that she might be because she knows that Laura is her competition, right?
oh yeah, she goes right in afterwards to the women's court and says to Laura, "It's
Oh,
you."
it's you,
'Cause
yeah, she's
he
yours.
did say, "Do you know that who I the other person is?" And she's like, "Yeah, Laura." And he's like, "Yeah, she's my person." Like, he tells
Um,
her, yeah, she's it for me.
and so I think that usually she would get the guy over the Laura in the situation, kind of like the stepping forward that we were kind of commenting on before. And
Mhm.
so I think that's kind of where she's just like a little bit like, okay, well, fine. Like, you don't want me to have Laura. It's good for you. And so, yeah, and she wasn't affected by it at all. And so it just made me feel as though she wasn't interested. Well, like wasn't really going to be in love with this person.
Yeah, it was very, very, very weird. So, so we do see they prepare to meet, and he again just says that, and I understand what he's describing. He says he just knows that Laura is his person. It's just a feeling, and he says that they have a connection he's never seen before. He's like with other people, and he goes into the pod, and he tells Laura she's at this point dressed up, right? Because she was wearing regular clothes. And she's like, all right, let me get ready now that I know it's me. And he tells her he's never known anyone like her. He knows it's her. He gets on one knee and he proposes. And she says, I've always known it's you. And they banter a bit back and forth, but they confirm that they love each other. So what did you think of this proposal?
I mean, I all of the proposals I was pretty happy with. Like I felt that like yes, I can buy into this right now.
Mhm.
The only one that I didn't end up really buying into, we will be talking
We're
about
talking
probably
about
quite a bit. But I'm supporting this couple. You know, I don't know that much about Laura,
Mhm.
but in this proposal, it seems as though they're a fit.
And they're both very genuine about it. Yeah. So they do prepare to meet and they face to face, so they're face to face and they are very excited. He says he doesn't care if he's not her normal type. He's sure that they are each other's person. What did you think about him saying that? Like he knows it's possible he might not be cute,
Well, he knows that he's likely going to be punching, right? Like
which is fine. I absolutely admit that. Like I know I'm probably getting a baddie. Um
I
like
think that yeah, he's a little bit on the nerdier side. He's probably not used to they got a set of bombshells this season for the women, and I definitely don't think that the men are as bombshells as the women are. And
yeah.
so, yeah, he's probably just like, oh gosh, I hope she still likes me when she realizes that like I'm not probably to her standard as like
Right.
a
Yeah.
hottie.
So we do see he's basically admitting that and but they see each other and Laura says, "You are handsome."
See, she was terrified, terrified that she wasn't going to be interested in him.
She does. And he says, "Oh, look at you. They both are realizing what they got here." And he said he enjoyed being single, but because there was never anyone he wanted to ever be around. But he says that that till he met her, and he wants to always be around her. And I didn't write it down. I'm not sure when he gave her ring. Damn. I can't remember if it was upfront or at the end, but I know he does give her ring.
Yeah, I do love though because like as I said, all these women are baddies,
Mhm.
and you know the fact that they have to do this experiment and be like really okay with any of these,
Anything.
like they have to worry about looking shallow, right?
Yes.
And it's a little bit unfair because you know you usually date somebody that's going to be in your same like good
Wheelhouse.
looking, yeah, exactly, same bracket, you know? And
Hmm.
so the fact that he's not, and she has to pretend like Love Is Blind, and like, it's just an interesting position to be putting these women in, because usually the women are the ones that are more disappointed than the men are.
Yeah, true. Very true. So we do see during again, this is a couple that the first like the first little bit of honeymoons, they really didn't show them except for them kind of making out on the bed and bantering, but it's really kind of her making fun of his clothing, which is like his
Hawaiian
Hawaiian
shirt.
shirts, and she's trying to get him to wear like regular Henley t-shirts, and he's like, I'm not changing. Like,
Which is great. She
yeah.
doesn't need to change, and like she needs, like, it's a shirt. I don't know. How would you feel about if your partner was like wearing a Hawaiian shirt?
Oh, Hawaiian shirts, I don't care.
Yeah, like I don't know. I don't think that his style was so bad that she needed to make a big deal about it, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, if he's wearing like a powder blue suit every day, we got problems. Like, um, pink suit though, we could deal with. I don't mind a man in pink or maroon. Powder blue suit, full up to down every day. No. So I just found it funny. It's like he was like, "Okay, you're gonna get upset at my shirts. I'm gonna give you something to really be upset." He starts farting.
That is the point where I'm just being like, okay, that's not going to, the type of woman that you're with. I don't think she's gonna find it that funny.
Yeah,
Like,
that.
if she's
But you could
shirt,
tell he was doing it on purpose to get at. Yep.
yeah.
And I was like, "Ooh, this is not a good
Not a good
thing."
start. Not a good start.
No, like they were good for me up until like really that moment.
Once they got together, basically. Well,
Oh man.
because he's not her normal type.
Yep.
She's not his normal type. Maybe his normal type would find that funny, or like, joke around with him in that way. And maybe she would later on in their relationship, but she's still trying to find you attractive and you're farting. Like, it's just gonna give her the ick quicker.
Yeah. Especially if she's already talking about the way you dress, just like hold it. Like I like that he pushed back on her, and I think she liked that part of it. Like, I don't care, I ain't changing. But I think the farting was just like, okay, now you went too far.
It's just not too fart. Yeah, it's just not attractive. It's kind of gross, if like, especially when this is like the honeymoon phase. You just meet each other for the first time, and you're supposed to like giving it your best behavior to try to like, dazzle this person that you've only heard their voice, and then this is how you want them to see you, is just like, farting. I don't know. It just seems a little bit bad timing for him.
I agree. And but again, he ITMs, he's very attracted to her. We really don't get that type of similar expression in an ITM from her. But she expresses that she likes that he is taking her banter. And then he jumps into their private pool fully clothed. What did you think about that?
I feel like she was like, oh my God, is this the type of guy that I'm going to have to be with forever? Like, it's like he's a frat boy without being the jock. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't get like to be the trophy on the jock's arm. I think it's just starting to give her the ick and turn her off a little bit.
And so that's why I kind of was like, I'm not sure that Sarah Ann would have worked here with him either, because she was way more conservative.
0%.
And he, again, like, he's the frat boy. Like, she would, like, without being the jock. I think the jock can handle the conservatism, and pretend to straighten up while drinking on the side and hiding it or whatever. But no, she would have been like, nah.
She would not be a fan.
No. So that is where we left off with them. Next, we'll discuss AD and Clay, because they do meet with each other, and they are so excited to see each other. And it was just such a different I feel like movement from where they were the first set of episodes, that they seem to have settled into their journey, that they, I mean, at this point, they know each other is the one for them now that Matthew was out of the way.
Wait,
Um,
okay, I don't know if I blinked or like I got up to get a glass of water, but
Mhm.
when did Matthew like leave? Like
He
did
left when he went to go, like, after he talked to her, and he was like,
he went to go
Amber
find
left.
Amber? He
Yes,
actually left?
he actually left when Amber left.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw that happen, but like I didn't see him. I thought he's like I'm gonna go get my girl, and like that was the name of the episode, I think. And I
Yeah.
was like, are we not gonna see him meet up with her or
No,
like?
because I bet you she said, "I don't want nothing to do with him."
I mean,
I think we would have saw something if they had met up.
right.
But the fact that they didn't show us any of their conversations, the fact that we didn't see a follow-up of him, like we did with Uche, him calling her, like, it was you, come back, blah, 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 blah. Because again, I don't think they would have, they might have added a sixth couple to this if they thought they were going to get the
Yeah,
drama.
absolutely, they would have added a sixth couple. If
Mhm.
like Amber and Matthew, and then like the whole love square with like AD and Clay, that would have been very. I think it would be good TV.
Right. So I don't think they would have taken that out of the realm of possibility. But I bet you Amber wanted nothing to do with that, man. She probably didn't even pick up the phone.
Well, I can't even believe that she left because of that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
was
But
there
I
anybody
think
else
she
she was
really
talking to?
I think she was really just stuck on Matthew. It seemed like, because even like when we have conversations later, you see the girls saying, when Jimmy's like, "Oh, did you guys have a hard time narrowing it down?" And all the girls are like, "No."
That's another thing too. I wish that there were more options for the women, because
Mhm.
like all the guys get to choose between these two gorgeous women, and like the most of the women didn't get to choose between like these gorgeous men. Like, why can't they find more quality men?
Right. Like, it didn't feel like everybody had a
Second option.
second option, like a second person who had the same values or looking for the same things as them. It was really just like, oh, this is the only person that would work for me out of all these people. 15 people, this is the only person that it would work for me. And that's unfortunate. I mean, because we haven't yet seen if any other couple, I haven't seen if any other couples got engaged. Usually we do by now, but I haven't actually seen any articles yet if that has happened. So I don't know if there was, because usually there's at least another 2 to 3 couples that usually get engaged, and then they come out and have those conversations. Now, unless those couples are still together, and we'll find out later, but I don't know. So what you say? Sorry.
I said, don't know yet.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about these people, but I'm excited to find out.
Now, Danita thinks that Jess had another option, but she was stuck on Jimmy. You think so? Because
Who's Jess? Hold on, Jess is
Jessica.
Jess. Oh, with Jimmy. Did she?
I I
I
never
don't
heard.
remember.
She literally said chose him from day one. Like, I think she literally chose him from day one. I don't know if she ever had another option for him, because I don't think she ever had another option. Chelsea, we know from the beginning, always had an option. Oh, so Rachel Marie saying she heard the same. Really? So then I'm confused.
I mean, it's very possible.
Yes, it's
We had
absolutely
so
possible.
many dates,
Right.
but I guess it wasn't important enough for them to show it. But like, I mean, I guess she thought that Jimmy was going to choose her.
So Danita's saying I read it was Ariel.
I love Ariel. No, wait, is Ariel?
Yeah, that's the one you were asking about yesterday. That what happened to him, because he's the one that was like
So cute. I was like, he was like aesthetically the person I thought was. Well, I think Clay's pretty cute too, but
Aw.
I think that he was the cutest person.
Yeah, Rachel says that it was the Dominican looking man, which would be Ariel with the ponytail, but he didn't want to propose without meeting her daughter yet.
I think
Okay,
that's
that's amazing.
fair. Like,
Yes.
hmm.
Like Jimmy didn't want to propose to you at all, so
Yeah, it's like a big mistake.
yeah. I would have been fine. See, now I'm concerned because I would have literally been fine with that. Do I get to continue this journey on TV? No. But if a man was like, I want to meet your kid, I want it's you for me, I'll propose after your child because the child is 10.
Yeah, she's big enough to like give a good opinion of him. You know what I mean? And
Right.
like,
Then we can propose or even ask the show if it's possible to meet her daughter off camera and then go on a honeymoon. It's like something could have been done.
absolutely, they could have made some different decisions here.
Yeah. But back to AD and Clay. So they both so she says it's been a journey, but they both agree it's been a whirlwind journey. And he has been a comfort to her, and that she agrees that it's been a blast though. Like they've had fun in their journey, which is good because I think that's also a good basis. We know they had an emotional journey, but to understand that they also have found the good, lighthearted, fun moments that they've enjoyed with each other. That means that you are definitely building that emotional connection with the potential to move on and not just that physical connection. And he does thank her for helping him to grow and develop along the journey, but also still allowing him to be a man. He's amazed at how much he wants to be with her without seeing her physically, and that he feels like he's grown emotionally. But he says he's never seen the show before, didn't know what it was about, which is possible. It happens a lot. Blind
Well,
casting.
it's kind of like how you almost got onto Milkman Manor too. Like,
Right.
you know, you've seen that show, but you might have applied for it unknowingly
Right.
and then get cast.
Dead cast. So he reads a scripture to her, which I thought was lovely. And he wants to be validated and be loved for who he is. But he hides it in favor of the physical, like a shield he's ITMing. And she teared down all of that, and he was able to move past that. And she says she knew that there was more to him and believed in him, and he's fallen, and she's falling for him, and he says he's falling for her, and he does like just get down on one knee and proposes to her, and she accepts, and he says, "I just came in here and did that, no preparation." I was dying laughing because I'm like, he's like,
Well, they
"What?
talk
I
about
winged it."
they talk about them being a dynamic team,
Yeah.
and that, you know, he really it seems like he's really diving into this process. You know, we see a little bit of his unevolvedness later on when all the couples meet up, and like when they're kind of alone in their relationship, and some of the conversations that they have, you're just kind of like, okay. But I think right here it has shown a lot of growth that he's had from the first time they came into the pods. The fact that he is still interested in knowing what she looks like, but he's willing to take the leap of faith right now. He does say, like, I know she's gonna look good. I know she's gonna look good. Like, I think he was terrified if she wasn't gonna look good because, like,
can you imagine you apply for a show, you don't know what the show is about. The show is basically you get blindly married or blindly engaged, which is better than married at first sight where you get blindly married, and you think it's potential that it could be a setup that they picked. Maybe I don't want to say it like this, but I'm going to say it like this: all ugly women for you, just to kind of get you, and you have to take it because that is that is where you should be.
they want
Right?
to see a response to not being attracted to the person. So,
Correct. So you never know, and I get that, but I also do believe him that I think he realizes that she is the person to push him and move him forward, and that's what he needs in order for him to even ever get to walking down the aisle. So,
Now, how would you deal with somebody that was really concerned with looks in this environment?
oh, I would have dealt with it exactly the way she said it. We're not discussing looks. Like you either take me as I am, and I'm gonna tell you, I, I I've had no complaints.
So, okay, so you would add that in,
Yeah,
like some
right.
reassurance.
Yeah, but I'm not sitting here like I'm 5 foot. You know, I'm not
I'm not
delving.
allowing you to picture me and
Yeah,
tell you on like my looks
no,
in this experiment when we're supposed to just connect on our emotions and
yeah,
our minds.
yeah.
Mhm.
I like this is not a novel. This is not a movie. Like no, like this is
I'd be put off.
building a connection, and let's see if that connection can take us
Now,
up.
would it turn you off?
What to for someone to be
Really focused on that.
really focused on it? Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Really focused on it, yes. I'm generally not very judgy, but if that is the only thing you like, to me, there's no depth in you. I need depth. I need it. I like crave it. So we have to be able to have conversation. But if every conversation turns to sex and physical and looks and ass and
Boring.
tits, then I I mean I can engage in it, but I'm going to be like, no,
Exactly.
and that's it for me. So it's like I don't mind doing it. I hate to say it like this, but where appropriate. Right? So
Of course. I
yeah,
mean, I love a good, sexting moments, but like
right,
it's kind of when I know that I like you.
right.
Like it's kind of like it's kind of a way to deflect from actually connecting.
Yeah,
And so if we're in an experiment, especially where we're there just to focus on each other and connect without all that outside stuff that clouds our judgment and our perceptions, I would be turned off.
yeah.
So
And
let's
I would absolutely think that you have no emotional
yeah.
maturity or
Mhm.
depth to you. So but we we do see that he said he's happy that he oh, she says she's elated and she trusted him and he did not let her down. And he says that he's happy that he, or she says that she's happy that he gave her her moment. And he says that he's ready to be married and that he can't wait and he loves her. And they exchange I love yous, and then they start singing AD and O'Clay sitting in a tree, Kising, which was I thought was cute. I
They
think,
just shot too of what kind of tequila was that? I can't
oh
remember,
yes,
right now. Hmm?
yes, they did.
The good tequila.
Yeah, the good response.
Clase Azul. Clase.
Oh,
Mhm.
and so they do prepare to meet for their face to face, and th- uh, when they get there, he is wearing a dark blue suit, which was gorgeous, and she's wearing a light blue dress. I think it's the dress that we saw in her uh, photo that you showed yesterday. And they kiss, and he automatically gives her her ring on one knee. He said, "Let me do this first." And she says how cute he is. And I just noticed they are very physical though.
Yeah, and she did do a little spin for him, like, wanna see
Yeah.
more, and, like, I hope that it's gonna be okay because he was so adamant about wanting to connect emotionally,
Yeah.
and as soon as they saw each other, it all
It
turned
feels like some of it went out the window.
yeah, and so, like, wait, this is not how you were attracting him before, like, with, like, turning around and showing your body and,
Yeah.
like, saying like, "Are you happy like with who I like?" Which is great to be confident. Like she's gorgeous and she's a
She's
beautiful body.
gorgeous.
Like
She
absolutely
should.
proud, but it just seems a little bit of a juxtaposition with against the fact that she was like, "Well, I want you to connect with me emotionally
Mhm.
before you kind of take it all to physically and sexually." And so I feel like I'm like, where did the emotional connection go? Like it
Like
all turned
more
sexual.
reassurance, more connectivity in the conversation,
Yeah.
and a little less physical. But I mean, literally, he kept kissing her arms, which I thought was cute, but still. Because I mean, I feel like the way he was doing it, it would either be an uncomfortability or a comfortability, and she seemed very comfortable with it. And he was like laying on her chest, and they just were very physical. And she said they admired their dark skin because they both didn't realize that they were both dark skinned.
Mhm.
Some people were commenting and saying that he really didn't like her, and he really didn't like that she was dark skinned. And I was like, then why say that? People
It seemed as though she was somebody that he would date.
Right. And I just think that you're trying to match a voice to a faceless face, and you maybe picture something because you don't know what they're, you know.
He doesn't necessarily look like how she look. Her voice doesn't match her
Oh,
looks
absolutely not.
necessarily.
Absolutely not.
Especially with because she does a lot of I don't know if she
Baby
does
talk.
it to make herself seem a little bit more coquettish and a little bit more like shy and feminine, and she puts on that like a little bit of a high voice and like
Yeah.
and
Yes.
squeaky and like I don't know if she does that and she's learned it helps disarm people.
Yes.
um and so it does I don't feel like her voice not like matches her exterior, and so that's probably also him putting that together like you're saying. So
Yeah. Yeah. And Rachel says, I don't think her complexion is an issue. He seemed more focused on a woman's body shape. Yeah, I think I don't think that her complexion was the issue at all. I think he was concerned about how her body was, and then seeing her body, he's like, "Oh my god,
thank goodness. He's like, this is good. I can work. He's like, I can
I
work.
won!" He's like, "I won."
Yeah, I'm good. Woo!
Um, and so that was the only thing. But and they exclaim, "Black love," and
Mhm.
they cuddle, and he calls her baby a lot, and he which he was calling her in the pods. And he says he might have to be her baby from time to time. And I was just like, oh my God. But he's shocked that their kisses have such great chemistry, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. And that she is amazing. She's beautiful. She has a banging body, a beautiful face. And that they're gonna have some beautiful dark skinned babies. And I kept saying, I'm not sure what people were seeing here, because there also people kept saying that he never said she was beautiful. And I was like, he said it multiple times, both to her and about her in his ITM.
Well, and she's a really great personality that kind of comes through even when
Right.
he's seeing her. And so the fact that they I think it's just that they don't think she's beautiful is what must be the issue
Has
here.
to be. And I don't understand that either, because I think she's gorgeous. Body withstanding, body just adds to it, but I think she's a beautiful woman. Um,
And
hey,
so does Jimmy,
they-
apparently. We'll get to it.
yeah, whoo, child. And so they said they're about to have a lot of fun with each other, and they don't want to leave each other. They will miss each other. So we know that they get separated again. It's technically they all get proposed on one day, then they separate back to the guys and the girls. We don't see that, and then they go off. The chosen couples go off into their honeymoon. So still a lot of kissing. They don't want to let each other go. And we do see that on the honeymoons that they go swimming, and he says she looks great in her bathing suit. And he says how much he wants to be vulnerable to her still, and that she's not just sexual with her. So he is understanding
He
He has
he's like
to
just keep it
balance.
down, just keep it down. Like we're
Yeah,
connecting emotionally here, but like she looks really good in that bathing suit. Oh my god! But connecting emotionally, like he's definitely a very visual person. Very visual.
Rach says hi. Who we talking about now? Says Rach. We are talking about AD and Clay. So we have them to talk about, and then we'll talk about the Jimmy and the Chelsea and the Trevor and the Jessica of it all. And then what happened on the honeymoon. So they do they do talk, and he realizes he's getting a ring. Now, what did you think about this ring conversation? Because he seemed to be confused about how the ring thing worked.
I think he doesn't realize that the guy gets a band as well.
Which was weird to me. Like, does he not know any married people? Which is
Maybe.
also concerning.
Maybe. Or maybe they don't wear their rings.
Which is also concerning, which is what I would think. Because he was like, no, I think I just want a plain gold band. And I was like,
that's what you'd be getting, likely.
it could be easier just to take off and hide.
Well, no, most people that I know, the men just have like a basic band.
Okay. Like, I'm gonna watch that one.
I don't think he knows many married people though. Married men.
Yeah, that's what it was coming off as me. And she says that she does.
You know what industry he's in?
No, I always forget. I keep meaning to look, but I always forget. She does say in her ITM that she sees the physical connection. It is there, but she wants to transition past that.
Mm-hmm.
But she's open to having sex with him if they get past the pool. And she wants to continue the experience forever. So I mean, listen, I'm not hating on the connection. It's there. Still a little bit of red flaggies here and there.
I know he's 30, but I don't know if he's ready for marriage yet.
Yeah.
I don't know if he really understands what it would take and what a committed relationship actually looks like. And I just don't know if he's emotionally there. I don't think he's had the experience. He did mention one time that he had a glow up. And so he started off nerdy, and then now he's like very attractive. And so he might not have had a lot of experience. And then he kind of got catapulted into being able to get any girl that he kind of wants in the sexual way. Cause like that's the easiest way to kind of do it. And so he just might not be really emotionally ready yet. He seems not that mature in that way.
That's how I feel. And that's how I felt since the last set of episodes. And I still feel that way. While I think they could potentially have a potential down the road, I'm not sure if they're ready to get married in this experience, unfortunately.
Agree. But they might, just because it's the show.
Right. Rach says, oh Lord, people think AD is weird and I don't know why. I don't know why either, because I think she's one of the most amazing women on the show. Now, I feel like what people don't like about her is she's self-aware, she is open and honest, and she is, of all these women, confident all around, right? So I think that always when a Black woman is confident and self-aware, people have a problem with them and think they're weird.
I don't know what weird. What actions for weird?
That's what I'm saying. What has she done that's weird? What has she done that's any worse than any of the girls here? That she's been in a triangle. She's chosen men that, to me, maybe she shouldn't choose. There's other people here who have done that stuff. How is that weird? Where's the weird?
I don't know what could be weird yet. Are we going to talk? We're not going to talk about the couples until after we finish, like the
yeah.
Okay,
yeah. So let's go.
I guess there's like one moment in that which might be considered weird, but I have my thoughts about it. So yeah, we'll get to the whole group getting together.
Yeah. So let's get through the Chelsea, Jimmy, Trevor.
Wait, before you go to the, just pull out my photo. Oh, I just put together for you.
Yay. A little square in the jaw, but maybe
The eyes are kind of brown and beady.
push the hair back a little. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Like,
yeah.
if he had some money, like, have a bit of a glow, get a bit of a tan, like
Just chisel some a little bit, like chisel face, jaw, like keep going.
he I like, and also, like, I see it more, like, not in a still picture, but when he's kind of talking and moving, I feel like it's a little bit similar.
Okay, I can
Not
maybe see it now.
necessarily in the static picture, but, like, I feel like you can still see the eyes are similar, the nose shape is similar, and the jaw shape is similar. And so if they had the same haircut and a little bit of a tan, I think that and if he had got a little cleft in his chin, I think that they could be doppelgangers.
We'll have to
I think that they're closer to looking alike than Chelsea looking
I
like
was gonna say we're gonna have to start doing celebrity matchups for everybody because
right. I was actually thinking that because I'm like, I feel as though Jimmy also reminds me of someone. I haven't figured out who it
yes,
is yet, but
I
he
agree.
reminds me of somebody.
Yeah,
So,
Chelsea looks like an off-brand Megan Fox, and
an
right now,
off-brand Justin Hatley. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and he's the off-brand just a Hatley. So let's start with Chelsea. Chelsea does meet with Trevor, and they view some items from each other's lives and exchange gifts. What we did find out is that they're not necessarily gifts that the person keeps. They're just gifts for the view about someone's life. So this day was a gift giving day. She sees the collar from his dog, who we did find out that the dog's name was Chelsea.
Now,
um
do you think her dog's name actually is Jimmy, or was she just saying that, like my dog's same name too, or whatever?
I don't know. I mean, if he meets her dog,
We'll find out.
you will find out. She just starts calling him Jimmy, then and he's not responding.
The dog's like,
And we did so sad news, guys. Trevor did do a TikTok, and this is or a video, and this is how we did find out that yes, his dog name was Chelsea. Yes, that was her collar, but it wasn't for Chelsea to keep. It was just for her to see. He left the dog with his mom for her to take care of, and unfortunately, his dog was sick when he went on the show, had cancer, I believe, and did pass away from cancer.
wait, sorry, Chelsea's dog's name was Trevor, not Jimmy, correct?
I can't remember what she said her dog's name.
Who? Well, I thought it was whomever she was talking to about the dog collars.
Oh, so then it's Trevor.
Okay, so yeah.
So she gives him a bracelet that lights up when the other person taps it and lights up so the other person can see it. And then he also gives her a rock with some meaning that I could not gauge again.
The rock said love, and you can feel it was raised, the spelling of it, so it's kind of like brave, and like it's supposed to symbolize that love is blind, so you knew that the rock says love without having to see the rock. And then he also said that he moved many places, and this rock was something that he just kept on moving around with, so it means something to him.
So I think he did give her the rock, and she did give him the bracelet. So he feels like he has always had the capacity to be a great husband, and she says he makes her feel like she would be comfortable and safe and never felt like this with anyone, and he says he loves her.
Yeah, they talk about like volunteering at a soup kitchen, and like I think in the previous episodes he talks about what like his perfect day would be, like seeing a butterfly and like sunsets and like really like romantic and sweet things.
Yeah.
When I was watching this,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, girl, Chelsea, just choose this man.
I know.
Just choose this man, because whatever you think is going on with you and Jimmy, it's not
never going to meet this. It's never going to meet this. I
think that she wanted Jimmy because she wanted to be chosen by Jimmy, and to get to Jimmy from the hot girl, which is Jessica. I think that it was a little bit of a competitive thing with her because I don't remember the timing of this now. Oh no, yeah. So I guess I'll talk about what I have to say in a sec.
Okay. Danita says Trevor seemed like such a sweetheart. To me, he did as well. So Jimmy and Jessica meet, and he wants to know how things would feel for her when they finally do meet. He says it's not a conversation about love, but he's excited about the lust. And he says he's the type to commit for the long haul. So it's like a juxtapose of um like what are we really having a conversation about? Because are we developing about emotional connection, or you just want me, right?
And also, I didn't like the fact that he's like, "Well, I didn't give a gift to anybody,"
Yeah.
and I
So
was like, "He's kind of a dick."
yeah,
Like,
like, huh? D- you did you not bring a gift for anybody, or you just are you like go run out and have the producers get you too or something? Like what? So she does give him a gift, and it was a whole box she had gathered for her future husband, including a letter. And he reads the letter,
he was not
and
into this at all.
and he was just there was just no connection there, and it
And then he's silent.
just silence. And he says he feels very strongly about her,
Mhm.
but he trails off, and he claims he doesn't want to get emotional. Then why'd you come here?
Exactly. And, he's saying that he loves everything about her, and then she's just like, "Thank you." And, he said thank you, and then she was kind of annoyed, and she's like, "You're welcome, bud." And like, she was really pissed with how he responded to this letter to her future husband.
Yeah,
Um, and she's basically been saying, like, "Hey, like, I've been putting myself out there. I've been telling you how I feel. I've been opening up to you. I've been letting you know where I stand, and that I choose you, and you're the only one that I want to be with, and you are giving me nothing."
right. Like she doesn't understand why he's still torn,
And
and
and she's like, "It's okay for you to be torn. Just tell me where you're at." And, like, he just would not tell her where she's at. Like, why wouldn't he just say, like, "Hey, I'm really interested in both of you right now. I'm not sure what would tip the scales the either way. Like, I just don't know." And he could say, like, "And the fact that you have a daughter, as much as it's beautiful, like, I just never pictured myself going into a relationship with having a child already. And it's a big deal for me. And, like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. And so I have a lot of things that I'm thinking about."
yeah,
Just give her some of that, and she'd be like, "Oh, he's so thoughtful." But
yeah,
at least now she knows that there might be a possibility of him not choosing her,
yeah.
and
He this
he's
is
not
where
he
this is
can feel
where
her experience.
this is where the kind versus nice guy kind of comes
Mhm.
in, because then once she starts confronting him, like after all this time of taking exactly what he's been giving her, he talks down to her, and he gets kind of nasty, and she says she can't give him any more than if he still can't choose. And so she said, listen, if you need someone more gentle, that's not going to be me. And he says he's unsure about being with somebody direct. He's used to leading all the time. And she kind of dismisses him and says, listen, she's over trying to engage in the conversation while he's still mentally in limbo, and she leaves. And she goes back to the women and tells them how torn he still is. And he goes back to the men and tells them he doesn't want to lead two women on by telling them the same thing. So it's kind of like he's trying to play the game of, oh, I'm being the nice guy by not like leading these two women on until I'm sure, and I'm just not sure. But it feels like he never ever was going to be sure until he got called on it, right at this moment.
Well, I think that when he was silent,
Mm-hmm.
he was sure that it wasn't gonna be her.
Oh, it's not been Jessica for a long time. That's the
It
thing.
wasn't Jessica from when she said that she had the child, I feel.
Yeah,
I think that she took too long to let him know this. I don't know if it would have changed things, but if there was a chance for it to change, it would have been if he was able to get to know her with having that information, not kind of being blindsided by, like, "Oh, like, what else are you kind of lying to me about then?" Like, I just think it could have placed a little bit of distrust. And then if he's not ready to have a child right now, like it's just a little bit, it becomes a deal breaker.
Yeah.
And so I think he does like her. I think he did like hanging out with her, talking to her, all that stuff. But he's kind of like, well, I think I would prefer the baggage of Chelsea right now, because not that children are baggage, but she also had a very, very tumultuous upbringing. I just think that she wasn't going to be who he wanted to be with, or who he was pitching himself with. And so in his silence, he should have just opened his mouth and been like, I don't feel like it's
the
you.
person you put on paper, I'm going to be able to meet, because you're not it for me. And Danita says right here, like, he wanted to push over and saw that it wasn't Jess, and it absolutely wasn't. So he does meet with Chelsea, and again he expresses, I didn't give a gift to anyone. He's so conflicted, and she wants to know what's going on, because she can tell, like, he's just like upset, and he says he wanted to see the other connection through, but his conversation didn't go well, but he also doesn't want to talk about the other conversation. But
that's another thing that pissed me off, that he keeps on saying, like, oh, I don't want to talk about my other connections with, like, in this relationship. It's like, but they're here. Your
right.
silence is the other relationships that you're in, you know, like, they are part of this journey that we're on. I see her every single day and have to talk to her. So, like, why are we pretending like there's not somebody else involved in our relationship? There is. And so it's also really irritated me.
So he said, well, you understand, we're both dating other people. And they agree that they both want to make the correct decision. And he starts expressing how he feels about that to her. And then starts expressing how he feels about her, and then says he loves her. And she falls off the couch, not expecting this from Jimmy. And the fact that
her dramatics with, like, the couch and stuff, like oh my, like, it's just, it was too much for me. Like, I don't know if I'm just like,
it was kind of like, oh my god, they won. Oh my god, she was expecting him to dump her, she says.
Mm.
And we see, you said it before, and Danita agreed with you that, and Rachel is agreeing with you. Yeah, she chose Jimmy to be the one to up Jess, and now she played herself, and I agree.
Mm-hmm. And she's just so, I mean, I'm not a fan of this person at all. More so as the season is going on. Yeah. Like, not that I think Jimmy's a great guy.
Oh no, absolutely no. We're gonna get to the honeymoons, and we're gonna talk about how I think she's just as not great. But also a little bit in her conversation with Trevor. But yeah, so she thought he was going to dump her, and she was coming in today to see how he felt about her and how Trevor felt about her, which she knows how Trevor felt about her. And she says she just wants to say I love you to the man that proposes. But she asked him if he's 1,000% sure, and he affirms that he is, but he's not proposing yet. And she just really kind of doesn't give him confirmation about I love you, but she takes it. She then goes running back to the women's quarters and tells and Jessica sees her come in and is telling one of the girls that she knows he didn't end things with Chelsea. And Chelsea then goes and sits with another set of girls and tells them that Jimmy expressed that he loved her. So Laura rushes from Chelsea's side to Jessica's side.
Well, and how she was also relaying that, she's like, just go, you should go. Like, you know, like, I just trust me. And it's like, just tell the damn girl that he looks like he's proposing to what's her name? And like Chelsea, and not just be like so vague about it. Like, I don't, was she playing a game with Jessica as well? Like, why wouldn't she just be a little more direct?
I do not know. I don't know what that was about. So Jessica does break down after Laura basically says, Jimmy's not your man, trust me. All the girls, Chelsea's out of the room at this point, and all the girls rush to her. She doesn't understand how he could do this to her. Jimmy and Trevor are in the men's quarters, and Jimmy seems to be the determining factor on I guess how things go with Trevor and Chelsea. And so Jimmy says if he chooses Jessica, Trevor thinks that if Jimmy chooses Jessica, he feels like he has a 90% shot with Chelsea that she will say yes. but he feels that if Jimmy proposes to Chelsea, he is a little less positive that things will go his way. He might just be sitting there finding out that he lost her forever. So we do see Jimmy meets with Jessica to break up with her. But he's awkward about it. He doesn't really say anything. And she's like, at this point, she knows.
You're in the pity party. Like, what do you got to say? Say it with your chest, bud. Like,
yeah, it was crazy that she wants him to be direct, and he, like, even in this, that you've made this decision, told someone else you love you still can't say I don't want to be with you. So she said, she makes him, and he tells her she will be an amazing wife for someone else, and that he loves someone else, and she feels like she wants him, she feels like he wants her to feel sorry for him, which I felt like as well. I think that's what he wanted. That how
poor thing, you had to choose two women who are in love with you.
Yeah. And so she goes after him, and she says he wasted her time, ruined her experience. And I think he wasted her time. I don't know about ruining her experience, especially if we're finding out she had another connection. She decided to just gloss over because he wasn't going to give her a proposal on camera.
I think he ruined her. How I took ruined her experience. And I didn't have that information when I originally had this thought, is the fact that he wasn't always honest with her with where he was at in his other relationship, for her to maybe focus a little bit more on Ariel. And so, like, if she knew that he was so heavily focused on Chelsea, maybe then she would have been a little bit more open to the relationship that she had with Ariel. And so that's how I can see her saying that she was always like, I'm all in for you. You're my number one draft pick. Like, let's do this. She was saying that from very soon on. And so I think that if he was a little bit more transparent, then she might have not been just all in for him and put her eggs in one basket and maybe cast the net a little bit wider.
Yeah, and so that's why I agreed that she definitely got her time wasted in this experience. And so like, hold on a second. Okay. And so I agree with her there, but also she also made, like, I don't want to take away the act of choice here. She chose to allow him
100%. I think she thought she was doing the right thing. And she was doing the right thing with the wrong person.
Correct. And so then we get to this part. I typed it out word for word. Hold on a second.
I got it too.
And so she said that first of all, she said that he didn't wait until this morning to make up a decision.
That's true. He did not. He knew from a long time ago.
He knew. But she says, when you see and realize what you missed out on, you are going to choke. You are going to choke. You are going to need your EpiPen to open your airways, because you are going to be in disbelief in what you missed out on.
I mean, she's really pretty.
And she says, thank you for the experience. God bless you. And she storms out into the women's quarter and rushes to her room. Listen, she ate. I'm gonna say all of it. She ate.
And it was like, we talk about it a little bit later with Chelsea, because he must bring it up to her. But it was also basically saying that Chelsea's not as hot as she is, right?
Yeah. I mean,
you're gonna choke when you see what you chose.
I didn't like that part about it.
Yeah.
But also she ate.
I mean, I think she was hurt. People say things in hurt. The fact that he wasn't open and transparent about his feelings for both women, I don't think she realized that she was losing the battle here, and so I think she was just trying to save face a little bit. Obviously inappropriate, to be knocking someone like that, but sorry, he was a jerk to her, so whatever.
Yeah. Chelsea says she's torn between both men as they could fit in her life in completely different ways. she's told how Jessica stormed in. So she said this is about to be the hardest decision, and so we do get side by side of Jimmy basically and Trevor admiring each other. They seem to really like each other as bros, and so it's kind of like may the best man win. And but they're both exclaiming they love each other, but Trevor's the only one who's saying he knows he's going in there to propose. Jimmy is basically saying he hopes he can get up the nerve to propose. And then we kind of get left on a cliffhanger, and we go into the next episode. We start with Chelsea entering a room, and we're not sure who it was in the room at first. And she says there's a lot of flight attendants who, I wrote this down, who walk through life alone, and she can't believe she found someone in this experiment. Do you feel like that a lot of flight attendants walk through life alone? Because
not where I work. I'd say a majority of them are married.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. I don't know
if it's different, but most of them are married, and a lot of them are married to other people in aviation.
Right. I know a lot of people who are married and they or have partners. So I was a little
I would say majority at the airline that I work at. So
yeah.
But there is a bit of a stigma of like, you don't catch flights, I don't catch feelings, I catch flights or whatever, like that kind of thing. The only aisle I'll walk down is the aisle of a cabin. So they have that whole, all those tropes, and you having boyfriends in different cities and not necessarily being somebody that's reliable, that you will, because you have to kind of pick up and go a lot of the times. But I would still have to say that it's a little bit of an outdated perspective from what I've seen, and that I would say 90% of the people that I work with are married.
Yeah.
We'll give 80. Some of them are young.
So we do see that she walks in, and it's Jimmy who is there, and she says that she hopes he didn't wake up and change his mind. And this is when I knew that she was going to make the wrong decision. And he says this is hard, but he does kneel down and propose, and she does say yes. Unfortunately, I have here. He says it's been a tough day, and she says she loves him too. And I was like, hello, are you reading the room here?
But like just seeing her like squealing and falling to the ground, like I don't know, like that would give me the ick personally. I'm just like the persona that she gives on the other side of that wall, I just, it's so not attractive to me. But you like what you like. I'm not trying to yuck someone's yum.
So Chelsea says that she's happy. He says he's happy. They exchange I love yous. He runs into men's quarter and says he's engaged. Yay. Chelsea does go into a separate pod where Trevor is waiting, and she immediately starts crying, and so he can tell something's wrong. And she basically says she can't give him all of her right now.
When he was saying, like, I was just tapping your bracelet to like the bracelet that would vibrate for you. I was just tapping it all day. I was like, that's so sweet. Jimmy didn't give you nothing.
Jimmy gave you nothing. And so he said, so you're going to give yourself to someone else? And she confirms yes. And he says, why? And she really can't give him a reason. He said, he rightly confronts her that he only wanted her from the beginning, and that Jimmy was so conflicted about her the entire time. And she's like, oh, do you know how hard this is? Again, the pity party. I'm supposed to feel sorry for the fact that this was a hard choice. It first of all, it shouldn't have been a hard choice, because one wanted you and one possibly wanted you. And she's just not seeing how, like, she's being incredibly rude to his own emotions. Like, eat the fact that he's confronting you. He's been kind about this situation, and you basically are stepping on him at this moment for somebody who, in my opinion, doesn't deserve you. But maybe she does. Maybe he does, because you weren't kind to Trevor here.
Well, and then Trevor says, like, well, if I had gone first, would you have said yes to him? And she's silent, and he's like, Okay, that's an answer. Like I feel bad for him then
Yeah.
because it seems like she just wanted to be chosen as opposed to be chosen necessarily by Jimmy.
Yeah, by someone specific who she loves, right? And she says, "I just want you to know how hard this is for me." He says she can leave, that he's going to take some space. He didn't expect to leave here heartbroken, and she does, after a pause, say to Chelsea, "Bye." Um, and she says that she knows that she's making the best decision for her life, but there's a fear that it was the wrong one. And Trevor says he didn't care what she looked like. He loved Chelsea. He wished things could have been different. And I believe him. I do believe him. And
They
so
would have matched way better.
yeah, I agree. And so we did see here, Danita points out that we didn't see Laura and Jessica's convo, so it was weird for her to be telling her to go home. But it does seem like most of the girls did get along together, because even like when we saw like Sarah Ann come into Laura, and it was just like it's you, and they're happy for each other, that kind of thing. Rachel points out that both Chelsea and Jess were being petty, but Chelsea chose a man based on competition, and just basically said she was cuter. And meanwhile, Jimmy is no one's prize. And Danita does say he looks like a thumb, which I can't not disagree with. And so, yeah. Rachel says Chelsea seemed like she was acting for the pods for a TV moment. I agree. I do think that
Was throwing herself on the ground and being like,
like she couldn't even articulate why she chose Jimmy. It was absolutely ridiculous. So we do see that Jimmy and Chelsea prepare to meet, and he knows Chelsea is the person for him, and she will take care of him emotionally. And Chelsea reiterates she knows she made the right decision. Jimmy says he thought, I had to be physically attracted to someone to get married, to fall in love with her. But he is sure that Jessica is the right woman. Oh,
that was a Freudian slip like I've never seen in my life. And like, if the show didn't want to throw him under the bus, they would have edited that out. But they wanted to see that she is not into Chelsea.
Not at all. Realizing his error, he backtracks and says Chelsea is the one for him. Chelsea reassures the audience that while she is a thicker woman, etc., Jimmy says that he doesn't care what she looks like. Who are you trying to convince here, girlie? Us or you? Jimmy and Chelsea finally come together, and she runs to him and they kiss.
That run. She was calling it a T-Rex run over to him, squealing, but like she to me looked like a chubby baby wearing her mom's heels running to her dad or something. You know what I mean? Like it was so awkward to watch. I was actually uncomfortable watching her run because I was like, there's like with him envisioning Megan Fox and then that run.
Oh my God. Can you imagine you're envisioning like Megan Fox is the person that's you're supposed to be meeting with, and then
she runs to you like that. Like it was so like I felt really bad for him like in that moment because he needed to pretend like he was attracted to this woman. And then she just kept on going on about like, oh my God, you're so good looking. You're so handsome. You're so handsome. You're so handsome. And he's just like not able to reciprocate anything about her appearance. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Chelsea. You are an attractive woman, but you oversold yourself here. And
yeah. It was pretty bad. Like she's saying, oh, you're so handsome, and saying it over and over again. And he says, I like your dress. And he wants to know if she's happy. And she's like, yes, I'm so happy. And he explains he's nervous. And he said, do you know how hard this is? So it's like now she's getting back a little bit of what she gave Trevor, that how hard this is. Because he then says to her, he almost walked out of the experiment that moment.
That's like would not make someone feel comfortable at all.
And he says that everything was so hard for him, but she kept him there. And I'm like, that's not reassuring. Like, I'm sorry, but the fact that you wanted to walk out of this, you might as well have walked out, because you just proposed to your fiance and you wanted to walk out on her. but either the producers told you no, or something in your head said, I'm going to look bad if I do this. And no, no. Rachel says this meeting was so odd. Chelsea Run gave me the egg. Jimmy said that she lied. He does say that she lied about being looking like Megan Fox in his ITM. Because looks does come up and he's like, well, you gotta lie. She gotta lie, but good enough for him, and he can work with how she looks like. Danita says Jimmy was looking for Megan Fox.
No one was comparing this her looking like Megan Fox to what's that comedian is talking about P. Diddy right now? Cat something. I mean, anyway, some sort of joke about these two cars, like a Phantom and some other car that like people say that the lower brand version of the car looks like the other car. Until the other car rolls up and you're like, oh, right. No, like, they don't look alike at all. Not the same thing. I don't know. And so basically, like, again,
off-brand.
Yeah, exactly. Just like Megan Fox until she's standing next to Megan Fox.
Right. Then it's not. Oh, wait. I was wrong about that. So this I also noted that he says that he doesn't care what she looks like. He says this to her in person, but as long as she doesn't change her personality from what they had in the pods, they will be fine.
Her personality had already switched.
And her personality already switched.
Like, man.
Night and day.
She is not the person in the pods.
So at the honeymoons, we do mostly see at the honeymoons for this episode, Chelsea kind of goes back and confronts Jimmy that, like, do you think I'm pretty? Because he didn't say it. And he said, and he's like, oh, no, I'm sorry. It was just that day was a lot on the face-to-face and he was going through it. She says, yeah, I remember. She revisits him saying that he wanted to bail. And he says, well, she made things different.
No, is that to like if somebody, she must not think that she's attractive or to his standard, right? But for her to be pushing him and to be like basically trying to get him to tell her that she's either pretty or not pretty, but like I feel like it's a very, I don't know, it's not an attractive quality to be forcing him to say how he feels honestly about you when he hasn't expressed it. I don't know. I was like, it felt manipulative and like unkind.
Yeah, it was. I did not like the way she approached this, but I also did not like the way he approached this next part of the conversation, because he says to her, well, you made things hard for me because you told the other person that I was dating that I told you I loved you the day before final proposals. And she's like, I didn't
tell you. Lies, and then she told
a lie. I was like, so you're lying. So you're starting this off by lying.
And then she's like, well, then I told her that I didn't think she was going to say anything. And I was like, so you lied, and then you said that you told. I'm like, okay, yeah.
And it wasn't just Laura she told. She told a whole entire group of women so that they could hear.
I mean, I don't think that he should have deflected like that, but she lied, and it's like...
And so he said she said she never really talked to Jessica about him, which I did notice. I didn't ever seem like she really ever had a conversation with Jessica about dating him. But the only thing she heard is that he didn't react well to her having a child. And he still say he believes her that because there was something about her running into the room saying that he said I loved you. She's like, I didn't. But the only thing he says is the other things about Jessica, the attitude he was getting from her, especially in their final times together, her confronting him and saying,
I'm hurt by that. You being an asshole it made you choose Chelsea. Like,
and so her attitude prior to the time made her not the right person for him. So I was like, so you're basically shitting on Jessica and looking down on her, and shaming her behavior for the fact that you did something to her.
Yep.
In that experiment.
And by him doing something to her that she had a reaction for allowed you to make the decision to not be with her because you didn't like the way she was acting from something that you did.
Excuse, because you didn't like her from the time she told you she had a child. I'm sorry. This is, all adds up to excuse.
Mhm.
Excuse. And so he does say, "Oh, but I got a good look at you today and you look good." How
Like,
reassuring
when
is
he's,
that
like,
for?
pulling off her, like, eyelashes and stuff like that, I'm like, "Oh my god," like, "Oh gosh, she's just" she's got the walking hiccups.
Chelsea then after that conversation, listen, they did Chelsea because we like, what are they cutting over here? Because she then after that says she feels loved, and it's hard to believe this is all happening and hopes it all stays this way. And I'm like,
Nope.
did you hear any of that conversation y'all just had?
He's not into you, babe.
He's not into you. So they do get rid of the bed, and as you mentioned, she pulls off the eyelash, and he's like, "You do that every night." And so it's like, oh my God, Megan Fox even less. And so she does ask me what was the first thing he noticed about her. And he says, so now Danita cleaned it up here. Danita saying it nicely. He said she had nice teeth, so I lost it. That's not what he said. I wrote it down. He said, I noticed you have pretty teeth. Big, square, white teeth.
He's probably like scanning her up and down, be like, I need to find something I find decently attractive about this woman because like I'm not attracted to her.
Meanwhile, she does try to make fun of herself and said, "Oh, my T-Rex run to you," and he waves that off, and he says,
He doesn't want to remember it.
and she says, "I noticed your eyes." And he says, "Oh," and he says, "Well, I don't want to mention the other thing." She's like, "What other thing?" He's like, "Well, your big boobs," and she's like, "You know what I said was nice." He's like, "What? What I said? I mean, I like your teeth." I'm dying laughing, like, he's just digging the hole, and she's just like deflecting the hole that he's digging when he's just digging the hole, right? But he reassures her, and to me,
Like,
that's
he needs to be taking a hit. He's not interested. Like, he doesn't find her attractive.
right.
Like, anybody I've ever dated, they've always just told me how like pretty that they thought I was, and like
Mhm.
even if they didn't believe it, like they were able to muster up like saying that I'm like the most beautiful person they've ever seen. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like he can't muster that up for her at all. Like it's too much of a lie for him.
It wasn't convincing to me, but he says he thinks she's stunning, and I'm like, I don't believe.
He's like crossing his fingers behind his back. Like,
Yeah. So we do see the Lachey's do a wrap up of where we are with the season, that the 5 couples that are headed to the honeymoons, and we see a montage of the couples, and that weddings are 4 weeks away. And that's how we figure out, like, okay, so this is put up time for the couples, because 4 weeks is not that long. And I think they're at the honeymoon for like maybe a week. So that's crazy. So the couples wake up in Punta Cana, and they all say they slept great, and I don't believe all of them. Some of them in the montages, I was like, it doesn't sound like you wanted to be next to that person, particularly Chelsea and Jimmy.
well, Chelsea wanted to be next to Jimmy, but Jimmy was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He's just like,
Like,
I feel bad for him, but then I'm also like, it's your karma came quick for you.
so we do get a little bit more of Amy and Johnny, and they are spending time on the beach with each other,
They
and
really like each other.
they do, and I think that's why we're not getting a lot from them, because she's like, we could just be goofy together. They seem like they're having a great honeymoon, as they should. So no drama. They're not in the middle of anything, so we're really not getting much of their romantic connection. But they, from what we do see, they have a heavy romantic connection. I mean, other than her kind of explaining that she's not used to dating a white guy, but that she likes him and she's attracted to him. That's it. And we do see that who is it? Kenny and Brittany, they're at their pool relaxing, and that was pretty much what we got from the morning. And then Laura and Jeremy, they're doing archery, And she does tell him he gets to keep one motorcycle because apparently he has motorcycles. And he's like, well, if I'm keeping one motorcycle, I'm only going to keep my Harley because I think it belonged to his dad or whatever. And his dad might have passed away. And she's like, well, okay, maybe you get to keep one other one. But if you're going to do motorcycles, then you can help my dad fix up his. And he agrees that he will do that. And
I don't like the fact that she's already trying to like clean out his garage and like change his closet. It's like, what happened to connecting heart to heart? Because these things are not supposed to be part of the equation, right? They're not supposed to matter with what you're building.
Yeah, I think she's pushing change for somebody. You said that like when you did your pros list that all the pros were great, so the little things could go. That means the little things have to continue to keep going even in person. But we're not seeing that here. But she likes that he does take her needling him, because again she makes fun of his shirts and he does again be like, I'm not changing them. And so we do then see
me getting mad at AD and Clay in this conversation.
Yeah, AD and Clay are eating and they're discussing eating, and he says that she can eat whatever she wants to. She's like, food is just fuel. And he was like, no, you could eat whatever you want to. You look good. And she's like, I work hard for this. You think this is easy? And he said, well, I would never let you get big. And he said, I would motivate you. And I was like, oh my God, oh Lord. Once he says he was going to motivate her, I started getting worried and concerned. And then he says, it basically goes into basically saying what I was hoping he would not say. And he's like, oh, he would tell her to get her ass in the gym. And she kindly, listen, her voice is just so low. Because my voice would not be low. She kindly confronts him and says how he stated that was mean. Yeah, and he's like, you think it was me? She's like, yeah, that was mean. And you need to adjust how you say things. And he's like, oh, he's like, I didn't think it was mean, but you're right. Maybe I do need to adjust how I say it. And he says,
wouldn't it be better if he had just been like, if you'd want me to help motivate you, like I would, like if that's something that you'd want to have happen, because she brings up like, well, I'm going to have a baby soon and children, and like my body's not going to necessarily stay like this. And he's like, well, yeah, I'm going to make sure that you're going to get back to the gym right away. And it's kind of like, well, maybe she's not going to want that.
And that was my whole issue with the entire conversation, because she's telling you what she knows is right for her body, and you're not once but twice pushing that away to motivate her.
Because saying like, you better keep your body or else I'm not attracted.
Exactly. To control how her body looks at every point in time. So it's either you have to keep up your body while we go out and eat and have a good, so you don't gain the happy weight. But also when you get pregnant, I don't care if you gain weight, but you better lose the weight when it's time for you to lose the weight. And I'm like, no, that's not how you do this. And I like that she didn't. What I like about AD is she does not let the moment. Some women would let the moment go and come back and be like, I didn't like how you spoke to me about that situation. I would be
like, I'd come back with it immediately.
Yeah. And so she does, and he does say he does love that, because it does make him, her challenging him makes him want to adjust, makes him adjust. And so they do start discussing therapy. She said she's been through therapy. They want to go through couples therapy. I like this part of the conversation. And then she does say she, talks about her father and her insecurities. And then she does express about how walking down the aisle alone. And he's like, for what? And it's like, and she's like, no, they're like, you start off coming down the aisle to your fiance alone. And he's like, well, you've told me about your brothers and how much they mean to you and how they've been here for you. Have them walk you down the aisle. Let them walk you down the aisle to love. And then we'll begin our journey together. And I was like, damn it, cleaned it up that I really liked that part of the damn conversation. And
He saved it. He did save it.
and
That's
they
a sweet
kissed.
woman to be like,
Yeah,
take the positive out of the situation. If you need someone to walk you down the aisle, there is somebody that would be there to support you. So that was strong. Strong.
yeah. I loved that because I love that, walk her down the aisle to love. And I was like, damn it. It's like with Clay, it's like a up and a freaking down. And the guys all seem to really like him, whereas the guys didn't seem to like Matthew at all. But they do say that he's such a great guy. I think it's the emotional maturity. I really do. I
100%.
really do. I really do. And so next, we do see Chelsea and Jimmy walking on the beach, and she expresses she's concerned about him seeing her in a bathing suit.
She doesn't, I mean, I thought she looked fine in a
Right.
bathing suit. I think that the fact that she lacks so much confidence, it just makes her look even less attractive.
Yeah. She's
Because like
beautiful.
I think she looked fine in the bathing suit.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't be a type of body or look in a bathing suit that I'd be like, oh my god, I'm hideous. Don't look at me. Like I think she looks fine.
She's literally wearing a cover up, a button up cover up most of the time that they're walking on the beach and sitting down. I'm like, it's Punta Cana, you must be hot. Uh, and then they talk, and she asks about his insecurity. So now she's trying to say, well, where are you having problems? Because you're making me feel insecure. Where are you having problems? And he's saying, oh, well, okay, well, I feel insecure about this. And she said, well, I feel like I'm a little edgier than what you're used to dating. I got
Yeah, like my
tattoos
tattoos.
and
Like
a nose piercing, and then she asked him again, are you 100% sure? Now listen, the insecurities I don't agree with. Fix that shit before you try to get married to somebody. The 100% of, is he sure he wants to walk down the aisle with her, I kind of get, because
he's
you
not
said
giving
you
her that
want to
either.
date, right? And that he was gonna bail, right? So that's why I'm like, oh, it's like I don't like how she is acting, but I also understand parts of where she is feeling.
I think that if she was like, if she took a Jessica approach to being like, "Are you 100% confident in this?"
Yeah.
Like, then I could probably get behind it a little bit more. But she comes from such a needy place where she
Yes.
needs so much validation that
Yes.
100% is more to validate her looks, it seems, and like who she
Yes.
is as a person, as opposed to the relationship. Like, are you really in this relationship? It seems like she needs validation from these responses, and that's why it's frustrating to hear, and it's just like it's too much for me. And so yeah, her approach is not for me, and it's going to give him the ick very soon, I'm sure.
Danita says it's how you say it. It's how you make someone feel when you're saying it. It's not how you say it, it's how you make someone feel what you say. And I agree, absolutely. And that's what Clay needs to learn. Rachel points out something that I not sure I agree with, because she does say something different here. She says Chelsea is usually I don't know if Chelsea is usually insecure, if she's being insecure because she's comparing herself to Jessica in her head. But she does state here that she has been cheated on a lot. And I do feel she is an insecure person.
Insecure, and like and what ends up happening when you're insecure is that you will need all this reassurance from this person that you're with, and now you need 100%. And undeveloped people will be like, I'm gonna go and be with the secure person, and like the person that's confident, that's like their confidence is sexy, and that's probably why it may happen, you know what I mean? And I don't think that she's grown enough emotionally and got the confidence to not have it happen again, because
Yeah.
we know that he's going to be meeting up with Jessica, and I would not be surprised if he decides to maybe explore something with Jessica.
Right. Rachel says, I don't think she would be this bad if she
No, she would
chosen
not at
Trevor.
all.
I don't think it would be this bad because I think Trevor would have given her the reassurances, but I still think she would have done a lot of this where, like, you think I'm pretty, because Trevor's a
Trevor
good
wasn't
looking
deciding to
guy.
talk to other people though, right? So, or
Right,
another
but
person.
he's also still a good looking guy.
Yeah, she'd be punching a little bit with him
Yeah.
too.
That's
Well,
what
I
I'm
think
saying.
because of
I
her
think
insecurities, though, like it's just going to always be resurfacing. And I think though also because like we talk about it a lot where you feel like you have this attraction to somebody, but it's
Mhm.
usually you're attracted to your red flag because it's familiar, and you're like, ooh, like I got the guy that's gonna make me feel like garbage again. Like, yeah. And so like that could be why she ended up going with Jimmy, because maybe Trevor actually was a nice guy and would give her everything that she claims
She
that she
would have sat there and critiqued every little thing that he did for her. Every little thing. You know how like we'll see it later, like Brittany and Kenny are like, oh, she does this for me and he does this for me, and they appreciate it. She wouldn't. I don't think she would have appreciated. I think she would have tried to find something about it to nitpick it, to make it so that it was like either something against him or that it was bringing out something against her.
Yeah, he would never be able to do anything right, probably.
Yeah, because she hasn't. I don't feel like she's fixed herself in that way.
No
So
way.
So we do see the couples meet and the guys and girls split off. Prior to this, they're all talking about who they want to see, who they want to meet. It sounded like Chelsea must have like talked up AD to Jimmy, because Jimmy was really interested in meeting AD. And I think somebody else was saying they wanted to meet Clay. And I think someone else also said they wanted to meet AD. So it seems like, the guys and the girls are all interested in who,
And also
seeing.
they haven't seen the guys, right? Or like they haven't seen the opposite sex. They've only heard their voices on their dates. And
Yeah.
so seeing they know the guys or they know the girls, and they want to see who their partners are. And like I think it would be actually really fun to be
Yeah.
like, oh my God, so that's okay. So that's the voice that I know, and I know Clay. And so yeah, like I think it just will be really fun to see who people ended up with and if they match their voice and all that stuff.
Absolutely. So we do see Brittany tells the girls that she loves how Kenny takes care of her. And Laura talks about how sexually attracted to Jeremy she is. She talks packages to AD. And Amy runs off to find Johnny, which I thought was funny, because I was like, okay, again, like Amy and Johnny are just like good to hip, and we're barely getting anything for them, but they seem to really like each other. So I don't know. I can't even really complain, because it's like it feels like they're fine, right?
Yeah.
We're not seeing a red flag. So, but Chelsea talks and asks if Kenny is good with waiting to be sexual with Brittany, and she says he is, and she says she's good with being touched, though. She told him he could touch her, just they're not going to go all the way. And then Chelsea talks about Jimmy's packages. And so my whole thing is, I noticed that I feel like the two people who are probably most insecure about their relationships are talking about their men's packages. Is that how you felt about it?
Well, I think that they just didn't have anything else to talk about with their relationships.
Right.
So, like, as soon as you stop doing so it was what Laura and AD, correct?
Uh-huh.
And
Laura
so
asked AD.
Laura is not interested in Jeremy sexually.
Right.
So I think in order for her to not actually talk about how she's really feeling about this relationship, let's just bring it back to low hanging fruit here, no pun intended. Let's talk about his package. And then I think because AD and Clay have kind of skipped the emotional part that they connected on in the pods, and they're back into like the sexual mode, like it's just easy just to connect on talking about the sexual parts, so they don't actually look at the parts that maybe
I didn't feel like AD was talking about Clay's package, was she?
But no, she wasn't actually.
Yeah, Chelsea was talking about Jimmy's package. So that's what I was saying. I feel like the two couples that felt the least emotionally secure in their choice were talking about packages.
Yeah, I think it's just that they're not talking about their emotional connection, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not what it's about anymore.
Yeah.
And it's easier just to talk about that than to actually talk about what is either right or wrong, or what is wrong with the connection, or what your disappointment, or like how you're actually feeling, or like, yeah, they're not having a real conversation.
And I think that's to Danita's point too. She doesn't know how she felt about Chelsea asking Brittany if she felt safe with Kenneth. And I think it's because she was trying to find somebody who also was not feeling comfortable in their relationship, and she wasn't getting that, right? Because Kenny and Brittany at this point are fine, right? But it was like, well, he looks like a big, strong tile guy. I'm sure he wants to have sex with her. He's probably trying to pressure her to have sex, and he's not, right? Because that was their thing. They met on values. He's okay with waiting because she's going to be his wife, right? Um, and so then Jimmy wants to know if everyone had a natural connection. So again, Jimmy also feeling a little insecure.
Right.
Everybody, so anybody else not there?
Anybody else not vibing with their girl?
And they're all like, "Yeah, I'm good. They're transitioned really well." Then like the
Anybody got
face
the
match
wish
the
knockoff? Like,
voice, the face match the voice. We're good. And Clay says how much he loves his and AD's chemistry. He's like, you guys don't understand. Like, you guys know how like sweet she comes off, but she's so feisty, and I love that about her because she holds me accountable, and I know I need that. And so the couples do come back together. We see Amy and Johnny kissing a lot, Laura and Jeremy making out, Kenny and Brittany reiterating to each other how much they respect each other.
and then
Jimmy,
Mr. Jeremy decides to come out there and being like talking about the fact that AD has a nice shelf. And I was like, when they started talking about this, I was like, I got really upset for AD, because all of a sudden now she's being sexualized, in my opinion, as a black woman, the only black woman that's on this part of the experiment. And now the entire focus of the part of the end part of this episode was her body, and whether or not she's allowed to, or her partner Clay is allowed to be upset with talking about bean dipping or bean flipping or whatever that terminology is, her boob. And I was like, it made me not like Laura, to be honest, because I thought that how she handled that conversation with AD was like inappropriate, being like, well, he shouldn't, like, it wasn't supposed to be something offensive. He shouldn't be offended by it. It's like, but he is.
right.
And acknowledge that he is offended by it and apologize, but she wouldn't take any accountability. I just got a little bit heated with them. Like, she was handling it well when they're like, looking at her body, and then Jimmy's like checking on her body, and like, she was kind of allowing that to happen.
Well, I mean, I think it to me it happened twice to her, right?
Yeah.
So Jimmy goes to Chelsea and says, "Oh, AD is stacked."
Right.
And
Sorry. Yeah. Stacked and then bookshelf. And then,
yeah, so it's like it happened to her twice. In the first situation, she does handle it really well. She talks to Jimmy, he apologizes, like they had a good one-on-one. She brings it back to Clay, he brings it back to Clay. And I felt like she was very gracious in that conversation about it. Chelsea though was freaking out because he's twirling her. She's thinking they're talking about AD's body when they weren't. Based on what we saw, they were literally talking about Clay and Chelsea and how great connections they each have with their partners, and that he's happy for Clay, and that Chelsea's an amazing person and he needs to, protect that. And then he heads over to Chelsea, and that's when he asked them about narrowing down their people. And so I felt like even with this, she handled it well, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then we go into the conversation. Well, then there was the Black excellence conversation, which we'll talk about. But then she goes over to the guys talking, and that's when Jeremy says that Laura told him he could bean dip, which is flip her boobs, at AD specifically. And Clay was like, what does that mean? Because he obviously didn't. I wouldn't know what the joke is. I never heard about bean dipping. I know flipping the boob, but I never heard that name before. And so when AD does explain it to Clay, he gets a little upset. And to me, Clay also took this really well, considering, because I feel like he could have. I feel like he could have gotten even more heated about it, but he took it well, saying, "Don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't do this to my girl." Like, that's just like, why are you singling her
And why
out?
are we even talking about that?" And he even said that, like, why are we talking about that? And AD does smooth things over, but then Laura comes over and it's like, who's upset about this? And AD said, well, you did offend, like, not AD, sorry, Jeremy says you offended Clay, and she's like, well, why are you offended? It was a joke. And so AD does go over to her and explains why it was not a good joke for Clay, because he didn't understand the joke and he had every right to feel, which I loved.
Well, and also though, I'm like curious if bean dip is only used for Black and brown women, considering, like, like how they also say like gravy dippers for like Black women's boobs. It's because like that's what the color of their nipples are looking like or whatever. So I'm wondering if it's actually race specific.
It's possible. It's an Urban Dictionary.
Yeah, but I didn't read it. I didn't read up on it, but I'm just thinking, like, does it actually mean like Black and brown women, or is it anybody that you flip their boob?
Oh, well, see, somebody on Reddit in 2020 said bean dip a fat guy is the most insulting way to point out somebody's weight. So must be a general term then. Yeah. So
I do have to go to a class that starts at 7.
Oh, what time is it? Oh my god. Yeah.
Unless you want to wrap up and I'll pop out.
So that was pretty much it. I was very upset for the fact that Laura would not take any type of criticism or take responsibility for even having Jeremy approach AD in that situation. And she was basically sexualized twice in this episode, and it was very disgusting. We do see,
and like she had to just take it. She had to take it. Spin around. She had to be like, "Oh, let me go work a little bit for you," and like,
yeah,
you shouldn't have to be gracious about people sexualizing her and fetishizing her. It was inappropriate, and like I was annoyed that she had to handle it with grace.
Yeah. So Rachel also says that then offline people have been getting upset at her for Jimmy twirling her, and that people didn't like how AD handled the conversation or anything that AD did during this thing. And I feel like
so AD is the one that I think is being sexualized and fetishized, and completely treated not at an equal level as the other women.
Yeah.
And how she handled it was the way that she handled it, without yelling at people or getting in their face or having any sort of confrontational response. She just goes with it because that's what we're trained to do, is just like, okay, they're gonna smack my butt, I'm not gonna say anything because I don't want to cause a problem. And she didn't handle it properly. Like, F off. I'm so sick of people.
Yeah, so I thought she handled it with grace, and
I did too.
None of these people actually deserve.
Because like, I would have a look of disgust if people were like, I was like, excuse me, like, I'm not a piece of meat. Don't treat me like I'm a piece of meat. Don't sexualize my body without me giving you permission to do so. Like, it's not a joke. It's not funny. Don't. You can't use my body for your entertainment. Like, fuck off. Sorry, I'm so pissed.
Yeah. So we do see Jeremy is upset, and he says he might leave, and Chelsea does confront Jimmy about how he handled things. That was a whole other thing, and maybe we'll discuss it before we discuss episodes 7, 8, and 9 tomorrow. Because
okay, so yeah, bring what you have still. There's just a little bit left, right?
It's really her confrontation, and then the Black excellence conversation with Kenny, AD, and which I do want to have a conversation about, because it's about him dating outside his race. But so those two things.
Yeah, so bring that up when we start talking tomorrow. So we'll go live tomorrow on my channel, probably at about the same 6 p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk about episodes 7, 8, and 9, and then we'll just do the tail end of this block of episodes.
And tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me at Reality Realness with 3 S's on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and like this video too. Subscribe to all of us.
And as always, you can follow me, Entertainment in Color, everywhere. I will be back with Chantel tomorrow on her channel to discuss these last 3 episodes of Love is Blind, so we'll be all caught up, and then I will be back on Sunday with Miss T Joy to discuss The Traitors and catch up on those episodes, and then we'll hopefully be all caught up moving forward. So thank you guys for joining us, and have a good night. Oh, Glenda just came out. Oh, well, you can watch it in replay, Glenda. Thanks for coming up.
Bye,
All right,
Glenda.
thanks everybody. Have a good day.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye.